Welcome back to another adventure in the Boat Camp Garage, guys. Today we are doing something that I know a lot of you don't like to do, but guess what? You have to do it to vehicles, especially when they get older, and that's just very standard maintenance. Honestly, this car, if you guys know about Subarus, they always tend to have issues with their leaking oil or some kind of stuff like that. The transmissions blow up, or like their engines get starved and they blow up. Then we don't want that to happen with this vehicle, obviously. So what we're going to do today is try and do a little bit of maintenance just to get it running better, get it running smoother. I have noticed lately that when I take it out for a little spin at night, yes, I know I shouldn't be because of the glass, but we'll forget about that. When I take it out for a spin, after about say 5 minutes of driving or whatever, the engine will sputter a little bit. It's not a rod knock. I don't know what it is. It almost feels like a misfire, but the car idles perfectly fine. But when it's driving, it just, I don't know, something's a little off. So it's got oil. The transmission's got oil. That's all fine. But I don't know if it's fuel. The pump works. We're gonna swap out the fuel pump, or not the fuel pump, but the fuel filter, because Lord knows when that thing's been swapped out on this car. Who knows? We're going to put in new spark plugs, so we're going to get to see how nasty the spark plugs in there are right now. And then it is leaking oil in the valve cover, so we're going to actually replace that as well. And do an oil change, of course. And I got the oil pan gasket, but after I got under there and did some cleaning, my oil pan gasket wasn't leaking, so the oil pan was fine. So we might not get to that. Mainly because these are not fun to do. You either have to drop or lift the engine to get that out. So we'll see about that. But yeah, so it's going to be a pretty straightforward video today, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, adventurers of all size. And the beauty about these old Subarus, at least on mine, I'm assuming it's the same for most of them, I don't really have to jack up the car to get to the actual oil pan at all. See if this camera can zoom in. There you go. See, there's a drain plug right there. It's literally just right there. And I can actually slide my big old 5-gallon thing, or whatever gallon thing this is, 16 quarts thing under there. Got plenty of room. And I got plenty of room to access the actual oil filter. And I don't have to jack up the car. So that's pretty nice. So I'm going to come back with the proper tools. We're going to drain the oil first, because obviously we need to do that before replacing the valve cover gasket, or else we're going to get oil spinning all over the side, and we don't want that. But can we just take a moment, guys? I don't know if the low-level light of this camera works that well, but just look how beautifully clean it is under here. I mean, dirty from old age, but after shooting with the pressure washer, it just cleaned up so nice under here. No longer caked in oil. So if you guys are wondering, this is actually the valve cover gasket that's leaking. The other side is perfectly fine. And this one has a small leak. It's not even substantial, but it is enough to where it's getting all on the exhaust and causing smoke, and it smells, and we want to take care of that. So like I said, I'll be right back in a moment with the tools, and we'll get this off. Alright, so we got you guys on the tripod for the GoPro, kind of hoping that I have this set up where you get the money shot, or at the very least you can see most of what's going on down here. It's a weird kind of GoPro mount that is factory or something like that. And oh man, this thing is on there. I think we're gonna have to get a pry bar to get this thing off, guys. Holy shit, whoever did this last, they did not want this thing coming off. Alright, we're back, and I got a bar for leverage. Whoops. I know you guys won't be able to see it, but I have a big bar here for leverage. So let's crack the sucker open. There we go, just like that. Boom. The thing with these guys, I don't understand. A lot of people, when they do oil changes, when they do oil filter changes, things like that, for whatever reason, a lot of people think you gotta torque that son of a bitch on so that it never comes off. It's like, why do that? All you do is make it a pain in the ass for the next person who has to do the job. And it's just you don't have to torque the things on so goddamn hard. But hopefully we get, let's see, just the camera a little bit. Sorry, that shot was probably upside down for the most part. I apologize, guys. There's not a whole lot I could do about it. Again, we didn't jack up the car because we didn't need to, but we're going to try and get the money shot here. So that shot was probably upside down. It is what it is. Now you guys are right side up. And just like that, guys, we got the oil filter out, we got the thing draining. It's pretty much almost done. You can kind of see it slightly just trickling there. So we're going to go on to the next step, which is back up here in the engine bay. Now, this is not going to be a side-by-side, like how-to kind of video, guys. But as you can see, there's some valve covers there that need to come off. There's one there and one there, courtesy of the beautiful Subaru Boxer engine setup. And I gotta get them off. So I'm gonna try and set up a camera for you guys up here in the engine bay, just so you can have like a little time lapse of me getting these off. This one should be pretty simple, straightforward. That one, they say you need to remove the battery to get it off. I've seen some idiots have to take this off to get it out, and I don't want to do that. So we're gonna try not to do that. But I don't know, it doesn't look too bad from where I am. But we'll see. I don't know. We might give up and do the spark plugs first just because that'd be so much easier. But no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to do the valve covers. So we're going to switch to the GoPro and we'll go from there. Okay, so slight change in plans, guys. That last bolt in the back on this side is such a small area because I don't know if you can see the body starts to divot towards the valve cover. So I cannot even get my socket in there. I can barely even get a little wrench in there. So I think we're going to have to remove the airbox to get to that bolt, which kind of sucks that we got to do that. But you know what? Rather than struggling with it, it is what it is. Might as well just do it. Get it done. So So I know you guys probably weren't able to see half of that, but holy shit, never mind, I take back everything I said. This was much of a pain in the ass to take out as people online said. Like, obviously it's 3 bolts, but that last bolt is in such a small cramped space, and then this stupid air feeder right there for the vacuum system is just so tight on there. But all things considered, it's not that dirty on the inside. It's kind of nice. And then our actual rods and everything look good. So this thing didn't have caked on oil, which is beautiful to see. But what it's going to have now, because obviously you can see how dirty that is, we're going to set it out here in the rocks, and we are going to spray the hell out of that thing. We'll do it to both sides, obviously, but for now, let's grab our little degreaser. Make sure it's tight on there. Hold on. Alright, I think it is. Sorry for the nasty sounds. That's just what the pump does. And we're going to let it soak in degreaser, and we're going to hit it with a pressure washer at the same time with the other one. Trying to see if we can get it cleaned up. Not exactly trying to get it back to silver, but I do want to get all that caked up stuff off there. So, let the degreaser soak in on it. I apologize, guys. I didn't realize the camera wasn't fully focused on it the whole time. Still getting used to that. Like, I gotta get used to actually looking through the lens rather than looking IRL, but yeah. And I know Boken Garage is dirty. We actually have a pickup coming this week, so we'll be able to clean it up. So let's get to the another valve cover, the other side, which is more of a pain in the butt. I might take out the battery to give myself that access. We will see. And just like that, guys, we get the second valve cover off. Surprisingly, this one was actually easier to get off than that one. Everyone always says this side's so much harder. I had less of a time struggling with that one than I did the other side. So, you know, it is what it is. Different strokes, different folks kind of thing. But there it is. You can see it in all of its dirty glory. Still, relatively clean. Not too much oil burn on the inside. Like, that's actually pretty nice. And the actual rods themselves look really good. So they were coated in oil. You can tell they were nice and clean and shiny. They were not caked in black gunk. So the former owner did do their oil checks on this. They did do the oil stuff. So we are going to soak both of these bad boys in the solution. Like, obviously the first one already soaked a bit, but it's going to get more. Can't hurt, right? Soak it all. And then what we're going to do is we're going to let this set in. We're going to let the degreaser just kind of do its thing, so hopefully it gets most of that stuff off when we pressure wash it. And we're actually going to move on to the fuel filter, which is pretty easy. It's thankfully right up top there, like you can see it. But yeah, so let that soak in there. And let's go to the fuel filter. These, from what I hear, are pretty easy. I still don't think I'll be able to do it with one hand, because there it is right there. I'm going to try and set up the GoPro again to catch more footage, but there was a blue piece of tape on this one with some writing. I can't make out what it says or anything like that, so you can tell this thing's been in there a long time, and it's rusting and everything, so that could be part of what's causing the car to kind of have a little bit of a hiccup. Like I said, she turns on, she has to crank a few times before actually like firing up, but she does run, she idles fine, and then she drives, and then after like about 4 or 5 minutes of driving, every now and then the engine will start to shake. So I can't tell if it's a timing thing, I can't tell if it's the spark plugs, which we're going to get to today. Someone said it could be the fuel filter. I've done tests on the fuel pump where they said, like, you know, prime it a couple times, and if the engine starts up right away, then it's your fuel filter or your fuel pump, because it means the fuel pump isn't working. Primed it, it still kept doing it. So they suggest it could be the fuel filter, it could be the spark plug for ignition, it could be a plethora of things. Well, not a big list, but it can be several things. So we're going to tackle this because it's one of the simplest, easiest things to do. Plus, it's probably needed it for quite some time, so we're just going to do it. And then we will probably have to head to the store to go get a spark plug puller, because mine is currently behind that. Behind all that is where mine is, and I'm not going to go digging for that. So we are probably going to have to go and get a new spark plug puller. Probably magnetic one, because I don't like the rubber ones. They always just get stuck, and that bugs the hell out of me. We'll get new oil. We'll take the old oil, but we'll try and clean this up. We'll try and put the valve covers on and all that before we go do that. So let's get into it. I'm going to be 100% real with you guys. It probably would have taken less time to go and buy the proper tool to remove these damn lines than it did doing what I had to do. Like, this thing is so solid. It's like not even rubber anymore. And it did not want to come off of the old fuel filter at all. That thing was just so on there that, whoo, man. I did not enjoy that. But we got the new one right here. Pretty simple. I'm going to shove that little gasket that came off the old one on there. And installation is literally reversal, so I'm going to install it. I'll come back to you guys in a moment. But yeah, that was not fun. That was less fun than the valve covers. Let that sink in. These were easier than getting that one line off. And just like that, boom, new fuel filter on. That took, I kid you not, like 2 minutes to put the new one on, compared to like the 10-15 minutes it took me just to get this one line off. So obviously we're going to start the car up yet because we don't have the valve covers or oil in the car, but we're going to hopefully see if this old line is still good or we got to replace it. This one should be fine. This one I'm a bit skeptical on, but onto the valve covers, or back to the valve covers. And just like that, guys, with a little time and patience, they cleaned up a lot nicer than what they were. They're not 100%. Still got to hit them with the wire wheel if I wanted to be 100%. But we'll tackle that another time when it comes to like taking them back off and painting them. But I was inspecting this one earlier, and I did not see any tears in this gasket at all, guys. So this is the one that was leaking. So I don't know if it just wasn't tight enough or what, because it looks perfectly fine. But we're going to throw the new gasket set on, bolt them up. Then we'll go get our oil. We'll go get the spark plugs done. So I apologize for this being a longer video than what you guys are probably used to, but maybe you guys like the longer videos. I don't know. Let me know in the comments below. But we'll get these back on, and I will get back to you guys. Also, I think during the pressure washing phase, we might have a victim, because there's now a water bubble inside of my GoPro. So that footage is going to be interesting to see how that comes out. So we might have lost the GoPro, but it's fine. I got 2 more. I can probably take it off and clean the lens, but we'll deal with that another time. So let's get back to this. So this right here, guys, is why you should never skip out on maintenance for your vehicles. So I said this old gasket looked pretty decent and fine. Like, I couldn't see any holes or why it was leaking. Look at this. It's hard as a rock. It should be rubber. This thing now is like solid fucking plastic. That's crazy. and you see compared to the new one, which is nice and rubbery and bendy. So yeah, that's definitely why it was leaking. I already got the other one on, so I just wanted to take a moment to show you guys that, yeah, don't skimp on your maintenance, guys. Take care of your vehicles, especially if they're a Subaru like this. These boxer engines are very finicky. But yeah, look at that. Over time, this rubber had turned into freaking plastic. Who knows when that has been swapped out. So let's get this one on the other side and let's move forward, because holy crap, guys, this is, yeah, wow. Don't skip on maintenance, guys. Alright, guys, we are pretty much at the halfway point. Almost done. Sorry it's taking a bit of a while. It is hot out here today. It has been a heat wave this entire week, and today is no different. But we got the valve covers back in, and they are looking a lot shinier than most of the engine bay right now. And I know they're not completely 100%, but those look nice. Those are presentable. So it is what it is. So we got the spark plugs off. I got the spark plugs already. We're going to go to the store. We're going to get a magnetic puller, because again, like I said, I don't like the ones with the rubber. They tend to get stuck when you want to actually pull the thing out, or it yanks the head off, or your tool, and it's just a pain in the butt. I'm sure if you guys know, you know. So yeah, we are going to go do that, buy oil for it, 5W30, which is what it takes here, simple, and then we will fire her up and see if she behaves any better. Because I'm really curious. So you can see these spark plug wires are here. This one's not that bad. This one's kind of very black. This one over here is very black, and that one's kind of okay. So I have not taken these spark plugs out before, so I'm going to be honest, I am not very hopeful. I have a feeling they're going to be very black. I have a feeling they're going to be very caked up in oil. And I'm hoping that with the new ones in, that will take care of the issue that I've been having with it kind of like having to crank a couple times before starting up. So we got the new fuel filter on, we got the new valve cover gaskets on, and we're going to get the spark plugs on. We're not going to be tackling, I don't even know where I put it, there it is. We're not going to be tackling that oil pan gasket today because, again, it's not leaking, so it's not a priority to me right now. Plus, I don't want to have to jack up the engine just to get that pan off, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But, you know, it is what it is, and this adventure will continue as soon as we get back from the store. So I will see you guys in a moment. All right, guys, so we're back from the store. Got some simple O'Reilly's high mileage oil, because if you guys don't know, my Subaru has like 230,000 miles on it, so it definitely counts as high miles if you ask me. Standard micro guarded oil filter, because we cheap and we want to do this simple. We got our Autolite spark plugs, so let's try and put an end to today's adventure. And let's see what these spark plugs look like. I cracked it loose on the first one. I'm going to say this. Whoever put them on the last time, I'm hoping they're not cross-threaded, because, you know, after you break the initial seal, it usually kind of is easier and simpler to unscrew, or these spark plugs. Not these ones. They were as tough as a bitch all the way through. So I just got it loose, and we're going to see for the first time together just how nasty they are. Keep in mind, this was the clean spark plug one, so I hope it's not too bad. And look at that. If it focuses, come on, focus. But yeah, I don't know, it's not going to focus, guys, but you can tell this thing is just caked in oil. My goodness, look at that. There we go. It's caked in old, burnt, unburnt fuel and oil. It's not the worst, though. Actually, that's not horrible. I don't see why that would stop it from creating a spark, but let's try and get the other three off. I almost said four. Let's try and get the other three off, and we'll inspect them. So yeah, this ought to be interesting. they say you can learn a lot about a person based on how they keep their car. And, you know, I'm kind of sketched out by this guy. So remember how I said that first spark plug was on there super tight? It almost felt like it was cross-threaded all the entire way out, was not smooth. None of the other spark plugs were even hand tight. They all came out literally with just finger pressure. I didn't even have to use the ratchet. I just hooked this on there and just boom, boom, and it came off. And that's not good. That's a bad thing. But look at this. This one is just black and caked and just disgusting. One of them is fine, but the other three are just dirty as all hell. That's impressive. So I'm gonna put the new ones in, and then we'll put on the oil filter and whatnot. But that's just crazy to think about. Look at that, guys. Just, I know they're not the worst spark plugs I've ever seen in my life. I've definitely seen worse, but that is just, wow. That one is just absolutely caked on. It's so bad that even my camera's like offended to focus on it. There we go. That one's just dark. So let's get the new ones in. And bam, just like that, guys, spark plugs are done. So I know these engine bays for the Subarus are not the most roomy to play with. I get it, guys, but you gotta torque your stuff down to spec. I mean, the fact that all those other spark plugs came out by hand is just horrible. So these are all in there. They're torqued to spec. They're nice and clean. So that'll hopefully take care of the issues we were having with you know, like the delayed and startup of the vehicle, and like the little bit of rough riding and idling, or whatever you want to call it. And next and last on today's adventure, oil. Which, this part, pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. Like, just open this up, pop it out. Try and do this all in one hand, because I know you guys kind of like seeing all the stuff that goes in here. You don't always like seeing jump cuts and things like that. So you're gonna have to forgive the horrible camera work right now. Not that you guys are used to great camera work for my channel yet, because again, don't have the proper setup just yet. But like everyone, remember, guys, when you put on a new filter, put a little bit of oil on it. Some people say they like to put a little bit of the old oil on it. I honestly like putting a little ring of the new oil, because why would you want to put that old rusty crusty oil on there when you're literally trying to, you know, do everything new? And you don't need a whole lot, just enough to make it a little bit lubricated so that it goes on there and seals up and everything. So let's move that out of the way, put the cap back on it. Don't want to kick it over when I'm underneath the car. And again, guys, these things don't need to be horribly torqued on. Like, there is a spec for them, but as long as you get them on, in my experience, getting them hand tight has honestly proved more than sufficient enough. Like, you don't have to freaking crank these things on like Adonis or whatever, or Hercules. Like, it's on there, nice and snug, ain't gonna go nowhere. Like, unless your engine's got a rod knock and it's horribly shaking everything and whatnot, he ain't gotta worry about that. Got a little bit of oil there on the floor. That was from the drain, I'm assuming. I don't think it was from the pan. I mean, it looks pretty clean up there. It looks pretty dry up there. Oh, I know what it's from. I'm stupid. So I had this off of the car for like a good couple hours now. I'll say an hour, 2 hours. I had the old oil filter off, so that's, yeah. I mean, you look where it fell. That was dripping. So, okay, never mind. I'm not worried anymore. I was beginning to think that maybe we had an oil leak. And I was thinking, well, that shouldn't be, since we just replaced, you know, the valve cover gaskets. Because if we still had an oil leak after that, that would mean that the valve cover gaskets are leaking. And you guys get to see a beautiful inside shot of a funnel right there. Sorry about that. So, yeah. Let's get this new oil in there. Which will be fun to do one-handed, but honestly, with this funnel and that on the way, I should be fine. So if you guys don't know, these Subarus take 4.2 quarts, I believe it was, with a new filter. So obviously we've got a 5-quart thing here. We'll have a little bit extra. I don't remember if Subarus are like Hondas where they like to burn oil or not. I know my old RX-7, yeah, because rotary engine 13B, loved that thing to death, but whoo, man, did it like to burn oil. But let's get that in there. Feed this girl with some fresh oil. There's usually like a little marker on the side. I always have a hard time reading these things. I think it's kind of at the halfway mark. It is what it is. Obviously, you don't want to flood your engines with too much oil, but in all reality, putting the full 5 quarts in there is not going to hurt it. So I think we got 1 more quart left we can put it in there. But yeah, it calls for 4.2, and it wouldn't hurt to put the full 5 in there, just because it's honestly not that much of a difference. But there, that should be good enough. So let that sink in there, let that sip in there, whatever it does, do its job. And then we will put the battery back in, fire up for the first time in a while. We'll pump the fuel filter because we got to get some fuel in there because we put a new fuel filter in there. We'll pump the pump, all that stuff. And then we should be able to call it good for today's episode, because this has been a longer than normal. And I honestly don't mind filming the longer videos. That doesn't bother me. Like, I take my weekends off every single weekend to do stuff like this. And if you guys like the longer videos, honestly, just let me know. If you don't mind the longer videos, maybe it's something you just put on in the background while you're working on your car yourself, or you're like, you know, making dinner, making lunch, or just eating, watching along. I don't know what you guys are doing with these videos, to be honest, but you're enjoying them. So that makes me happy. Thank you for honestly being with me on this journey. I know it's just the beginning of our adventures, and I know they have been kind of up and down, hit or miss. Some of them have not been the greatest quality. Some of them have been in the wrong aspect ratio. Some of them have had horrible audio. Some of them had a horrible video. We're learning, and just like with the cars, you're coming along with me on the adventure, and we're fixing those mistakes along with car mistakes along the way. So I do hope you guys are enjoying that. I'm enjoying making them. So let me get the battery back on this. I'll come back to you guys and we'll start her up for the first time with the new fluids, the new valve cover gaskets, new spark plugs, and let's see how she runs. Alright, so battery's in, it's all hooked up, ready to rock and roll. We're just giving it one little look-see over, make sure we didn't forget to retighten something. Fuel filter's in there pretty good, battery's in there pretty good. Spark plugs, valve cover gaskets are in there good on both sides. So let's fire her up and hope she ain't leak. Hope she just fires up. I have pretty good faith. I mean, it's simple maintenance, guys. I'm going to prime the fuel filter, fuel pump a little bit, a couple times, only because, I mean, we just took the filter off, so the line might be a little bit empty. All right, here we go. All right, so that's interesting. You guys might have noticed it took a lot more cranks than normal to start up. And that could have been, again, the fuel filter. It's running fine. The belt might squeak in a moment because it is old, needs to be replaced. But you did notice it took a couple more cranks than I'm used to, actually, to fire right up. But so far, we're looking so good on the valve covers. Not bad. Let's look underneath. I don't see any oil spewing out, so that's a good sign. Get on this side. Again, no signs of oil spewing out, so again, that is another positive, good sign. So, I think we're good, guys. In terms of leaks, we're about to find out though, because on the old gasket, I never showed it in videos, but on the old gasket for the valve cover, even though it looked like it wasn't leaking that much, there would be a little bit of like the oil burning and causing smoke after just running for like a little bit. But she's sounding good. She's sounding healthy. Doesn't sound bad at all. Outside of the little not wanting to start right at the beginning, but I'm not seeing any smoke. I'm not seeing any issues. I hope you guys can hear me over the engine. I don't smell burnt smoke or burning oil like I did last time. So that's a very good plus. Because again, it wasn't a bad leak that it had, but it was enough to where it was getting right on the exhaust on that side. And it was causing a little bit of smoke. You could definitely smell it. I don't smell it anymore. And yeah, I'm not seeing any smoke. So that's a good sign. So I call it a success. We will try to take a look at why it didn't just start up. Actually, you know what? While I still have you guys with me, again, I know long video, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Might as well explore stuff while we have you here with me. Let's turn it off. And let's try and see if she fires right back up. She does have fuel. Her fuel gauge does not work. I got to figure that out. I think it's the fuel sending unit, honestly, because I can't find any fuses in this car that are for that. And I don't think it's the fuel pump, but I might just end up replacing the full fuel pump setup anyways to get a new sending unit and all that. Oh no, see, that time fired up right away. Okay, so I think originally it was just starved for fuel, guys, with the new stuff, because that, I didn't even have to wait. That just fired straight up. So that's a good sign for me. That's a positive for me. I'm actually ecstatic about that, because that means those spark plugs were so dirty, so gunked up, so nasty that they were probably not getting the right spark for this car. And now it just fired right up. Hold on, we got to try that again. We got to try that again, because even after I would let the car, with the old setup, when I let the car run for a little while, it still wouldn't just spark right up. It would still give it a couple goes. But that was so much more sudden. That was, wow. Okay, I'm happy with that. Again, the car is running, idling smooth. I'm happy with that. So I'm just gonna let it cycle for a little bit. Let the new oil kind of do its thing, guys. High mile oil. Just let it kind of soak in there. Let it coat everything it's got to coat, and just keep an eye on it. So, yeah. Again, I don't see any smoke. I don't see any smoke on camera. I don't see any smoke in person. So I think we fixed it, guys. So the Subaru is running a lot better than it was previously, and it was still running good. Don't get me wrong. It was still running good. It just would crank several times before starting, and then when running, it would like kind of sputter a bit and whatnot. So it was like it wasn't getting fuel or spark or something. And then obviously we had the oil leak, which was causing smoke, which is never a good sign to see come out of your car. Whenever you see smoke coming out, even if it's something small like a little bit of oil getting on the exhaust, it's still, as an owner, as a driver, it would make you worry, be like, oh crap, my car's dying, it's breaking. But it's not, at least not yet. So this is one Subaru that gets to stay on the road. We're going to tackle the windshield at some point. I know. I kind of want to tackle some body work before then, because body work is going to be a lot easier to do, cheaper to do. Not easier, I shouldn't say it's easier, cheaper to do than that. So that'll probably be coming down the line. We got to mess with the fender, we got to mess with the rear quarter panels. The doors, it probably is easier at this point to try and find replacement doors. This door is not so bad, that could be fixed. And then that little quarter panel right there, little bubbly, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I'm happy with this, guys. Again, I apologize for the long video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys stick around with me and keep watching the other videos. Like, I just have fun doing this stuff, guys, and I hope you guys enjoy it with me. So I'll see you in the next one. Remember, every broken car is an adventure, and just have fun, be safe.